Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third instalment of the Ilkley Grammar School transition process for the Silver Ties. I'm Mr Calvert, Assistant Head Teacher at Ilkley Grammar School. I can see that the viewers are starting to climb. I have to say, when I set this one up, I actually purposely chose the first session available after hopefully the lockdown restrictions will have ended and we could have had some more news for you all, but I just wanted to say at this stage we are still waiting on guidance for what September looks like, and obviously that will can be conveyed to all parents, including new parents, once the government have explained what September can look like with regards to school opening. One of the things that will be discussed at the Welcome Parents Evening on the 13th of July will be any updated things, so you will have to wait until then. I was speaking to the head teacher yesterday. We've just confirmed that it will be a 6 o'clock start time, lasts for about an hour. And it'll be just a kind of, an overview of some of the things that I've already covered here, but also just any up-to-date details for you all. This evening's, I purposely call it any other business, really, so please do use the chat bar. I've got some help in the background as well that can answer any questions, and this one is definitely unscripted. I've just got a few final things I just want to tell you. Hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter. And just a reminder, if there's anything sort of that you do need to say personally, then make sure that you buzz it through to the transition@ilkleygs.co.uk email address where the team are sort of waiting to answer any questions that are on a personal level. So I just wanted to say, with regards to the sort of data collection from the primary schools, that's nearly all completed now. We've got one more school to visit next week, and we'll be in a process then to start formulating the tutor groups. As I said, under normal circumstances, the tutor groups will have been, the children would have found out what tutor group they were in on their welcome day, and obviously not being able to have that now, we'll have to revert to the system that we had last year, which is we will put everything together and then we get it checked by the primary schools and then out to you all by letter. So that'll be an exciting day for everyone to find out what tutor the group they're in. At the same time, the tutors will produce a short welcome video that you can watch, so you can see what your tutor is going to be like. And as I said, we had a very similar process last year, and although it wasn't ideal, it was a very smooth process, and hopefully you can find out what your tutor looks like and the subject that they teach. And as I said, I think in the first session, I did say where possible Mrs. Pennell, when she's doing the timetable, and actually make sure that the tutor does actually teach their tutor group for year 7 as well. So there's a good chance that you can make those positive relationships once we start in September. So just be on the lookout for that. And there are a few other things that I need to collect from you as well, and you'll receive an email from me on a school comms. We call this the Consents Booklet, but it's a few things of details that we need to collect from you, including medical and allergy and medication details as well, just so we can start on a positive footing. We have got some of this from primary school, some of it does come through, others of it doesn't, but obviously things do change as well from when those things were done. So you'll get an email from me, and it has just a very quick form that you need to fill in just to give us some details of any medication, any medical conditions, any allergies that food or otherwise that the children have. So please do fill that in carefully. Again, if there's anything that you really do need to speak to us about, make sure you email in and we'll get one of the team to give you a call back. Alongside that is what's called the Consents Booklet, and really that's just a few kind of things that you've probably gained your consent for previously, as well as some of the things that are kind of just for Ilkley Grammar School, but it's things like the homeschool agreement, the acceptable use policy for the iPad and the computer systems, cashless catering, a finance agreement as well. I mean, the booklet's reasonably thick, but just please, when you're filling the form in, just make sure you have the booklet there by your side as well. And all you have to do is just say, yes, I consent to that. It does have a few other things about educational visits and the PE. Obviously, when the students are getting a little bit older now, there are different ways to drop them off when the events finish in an evening. So if they're on a away fixture, then there are different ways that they can be dropped off at a bus stop close to the home and that sort of thing. So just make sure that you look and read through that carefully and just tick them in. Send it in to us. It would be really helpful if we could get it in by the 5th of July. I know that's quite a tight turnaround, but again, that's part of the data that I want to make sure is available for us on the first day in September, because we do have a trip, a team building trip planned for Nell Bank. We've done that historically all the time that I've ever been at the school, so we have a long relationship with Nell Bank. Obviously, I'm sure you all know where Nell Bank is, on the other side of the river from the school, and the activity centre there. We actually take each band over a different day down there to do some team building exercises, and that's to try and build that group of team mentality within the group and try and forge those relationships that needs to get forged as well. Details of that will come out. We'll send the students home with a letter on their first day with us, and you'll be able just to sign up for that. As I said, it's a fairly it's just a day trip really, and the cost is very reasonable. So please do look out for that consents booklet, and please try and hit the deadline for us, really. And thank you to the many of you that have already signed up for the iPad scheme, either to sign up for an iPad or to say that you are opting out of it, and it's great that so many of you have done that. We're just chasing down those last few, so just a plea from me, please, if you can get in touch with us, make sure that we can get those things sorted. And I think the iPad is something that we want to kind of maybe talk about this evening. As I say, we've been an iPad school now, I think, for 10 years. And obviously, when we first brought the iPads into Ilkley Grammar School, very few schools were doing it, and now there are lots of schools that use lots of different devices, and we've always found that the iPad suits our needs best for all sorts of reasons, not least pedagogically, really. It really does suit some of our other systems that we use, and it's used in lots of creative ways, to try and get that communication between the young person and the teachers, between each other, the collaborative approach that it can bring as well. And we also have a number of apps that we've used, and one of them that is used an awful lot is a system called Showbee, and you will see the students using Showbee quite a lot because it allows workflow. It's a workflow app, so I, as a teacher, can set up a lesson in an evening, get it ready to go, press a button, and then as we walk into the lesson, that becomes available for the students. And obviously, it cuts down on the amount of paper that we need from a climactic point of view, really, as well as a cost point of view, but also just allows the students to access material at their level, at their speed. So you get that kind of personalization and differentiation in the curriculum as well. So the interesting thing was I was learning about new apps today myself, and something new always comes out, and some of the apps that when we started with 10 years ago have now gone out of business, and others get open every day. And as a community, really, we try and share an awful lot of that. And we have got a new security system, firewall, if you want to call it something else, as well, for the iPads, a management device manager, and that's called Jamf. So if you do hear the word Jamf, then that's one of the things that we use to try and help and support the use of the iPads while they're in school and at home. And it's got some functionality on it that I'm still working through with the IT technicians, but it does look like we'll be able to make sure that the device does remain as a learning device, and certainly in year 7 we can lock off certain apps and that sort of thing. And even we were looking at kind of making sure that it does kind of shut itself down on an evening and before school, so it's not impacting on family life as well. So I am still in the process of kind of looking at that, but just we will relay those details to you. It's still quite new to me. We've got a new IT and technical network manager who's brought these things from other schools to us. So please look out for those. And as I said, they will get their iPad on their first day at school, so it will all be set up, ready to go. They will literally just tap it in, they'll be given a password that they have to replace, and then it's up and working. So they will bring it home that evening. And again, I really want to stress the importance of them, and also just that issue. Just make sure that you do contact us if you have any issues with the iPad going forward, because I do understand that I suppose 10 years ago students didn't have their own devices, and many of them do now, I suppose. But I also do work closely. I know myself, I have an 8-year-old son at home myself, and I know how addictive these things can become as well. So it is important that we work together as a family and a school to try and personalize the response for that, and also be mindful of the device as well. But they are incredibly powerful. I'm a real advocate for ICT and e-learning, and I want to make sure that we are preparing the students for the future. Again, what the devices look like 10 years ago bears no resemblance about what they can do today. And if you look at your own mobile phones or whatever, you're aware of that. So please do contact us with any details for that. I've just got a little thing here about uniforms. So again, we do have 2 uniform suppliers, Dobson Robinson, that's on the Grove, and Wharfdale Uniforms that actually just opened up a new kind of pop-up shop at the bottom of Cowpasture Road there. We don't have an affiliation with either of them. Schools have got to have 2 uniform suppliers, so there is some competition as such between them. There is, I don't know if you noticed, and if you are an avid follower of educational politics, but the government have passed a law where schools have got to do everything they can to minimise the cost of a uniform, and that's done by trying to minimise the amount of branding that's on it. Now, there's a real tension there, because how do you do that and still maintain a sense of identity? So what we have done is we've looked at that and made sure that where possible, we've tried to give parents options for getting uniform that isn't as branded as it was. First example of that, the girls used to wear a skirt that was branded with IGS down the side. That's gone. It's just a skirt, a grey skirt. So we're trying where we can to manage that, but I do appreciate, again, I've got my own family at home, and I do appreciate how much it can cost to furnish a child with new uniform every year. But we've tried to make it as comfortable and smart as we can, and also as affordable as we can as well. And if there are any issues with that, please do get in touch with us, and we do have ways of helping where we can. So please do get in touch. Just a couple of things just on the uniform. So the tie is a silver tie, so they'll be known as a silver tie. Occasionally it's called the grey tie, but I like silver. It sounds a little bit better. Obviously the blazer, and again, it's always quite interesting with some of the size of the blazers, because you can see parents have bought them, and you'll grow into it, sort of thing. So it is quite funny, but they do grow very quickly when they're with us, actually. So it's probably a good idea. And then trousers, charcoal black, trousers, grey skirt, white shirt, and black leather shoes, please. That is important, that they do look smart and are really a part of the school community, and that have that pride in the uniform of the school that they have for identity purposes, but also that kind of, I suppose, personal development that most of us, even on an evening like this in my own house, I'm wearing a shirt and tie here to deliver something to you. So it is something that you will see us working hard on. Just a couple of other things I've got here is, if you are buying a rucksack for them, a bag for them, it is useful because of the iPad. Just if you can, it's a recommendation. It's just something I've said over the years. Really, it is a recommendation. If you can get one with a protected pocket in, it does help to protect the iPad. The iPad's got a fairly robust case on it, but if you've ever seen 320 bags out, left around on hooks and so on, you'll realise how many bags there are in year 7, and then multiply that by 7 year groups. Imagine how many bags are around, and they do get bumped and so on as well. So it is useful if you can to try and get one with a protected pocket in. Or I've noticed some of the other students bring in a little sleeve almost just to drop it into as well, just to give it that added bit of protection. The PE uniform, the details of the PE uniform, and again, we've tried to, where we can, to minimize the branding on that. But again, it's that real tension to, if you're representing the school at an event, you almost need to have something that identifies you as Ilkley Grammar School. So there is a bit of a tension, and some of it is branded. But please look at the options that the both uniform suppliers will give you, and in the New Beginnings booklet, all the details in there are probably worth, now we've done a few more of these conversations, that you look back at those things there, and just to refresh your memory on what the PE uniform looks like. There is part of it that's kind of, there's 3 different types of blue, a red, and a yellow, depending on band for the PE uniform. So one of the things we will tell you on the letter is which tutor group they're in, and also which band they're in as well. Sue's just popped up on there. It's page 12 to 16 in the New Beginners booklet. So thanks, Sue. It's useful just to have a look at that. So you won't know which band you're in until we know what tutor group you're in. So there is a bit of a delay on that. But again, both the proprietors of the uniform suppliers are fantastic, and have a long relationship with the school. So they know what uniform is required, and obviously lean on their expertise. And again, just give us any calls if there's anything. Effectively from PE, there's obviously there's kind of a winter uniform and a summer uniform really for the PE. Obviously, if you are down on the on our playing fields in the middle of winter, you need a little bit more protection and a little bit more warmth than you do when you're there in June. So and it's obviously sport based as well. So please just speak to them and work on that. I've just got a few other things just about jewellery again, and the bringing valuables into school as well. I mean, I really encourage you to just to be mindful of values. I mean, we're very, very fortunate that things, are incredibly, it's almost, incredible that we don't lose things in school. I mean, children lose things, but they actually end up turning up. And I mean, talking about very expensive phones and so on. We've got a very, group in the community, we've got a very honest group of children that come to school, and, fortunately theft or anything like that is very, very rare. But just please be mindful of that. What we suggest is a kind of, is just a watch on their arm if they should want one, and then there's one pair of stud earrings in each ear. That's as far as jewellery goes for the whole of school, actually. But certainly in year 7. And then makeup. I know it's a funny thing to be talking about makeup to year 6 parents, but there's no makeup allowed in Key Stage 3. So our reasoning on that is growing skin really. So please, no makeup. We do have makeup wipes if people come in with makeup on, and we ask them to take it off. So when they get into Key Stage 4, it's a kind of privilege of age situation really. In Key Stage 4, they are allowed to wear what we call discreet makeup, which just gives them a bit more autonomy as such as the further up the school. So your support on that will be very grateful. And I've just got, the last thing I've got here is breaks and lunches. The year 7 do have their own designated court and area, which is monitored by staff at breaks and at lunch times. This year, the year 7s use B Hall for lunch, and the Armitage Centre at break time. Our catering staff are our own staff. It's our company. So they're cooking for our students, and the money that we make actually gets reinvested back into the school. And Helen Guy, who is our chef, actually works very, very hard to, adapt the food that the students want, and and over the years, it's a very wide and generous offer of food, and you can always find something under normal circumstances. I mean, it's been a bit more restricted this year because we've not been allowed to use plates and knives and forks, as in, that can be washed. So we've had to use a lot of, takeaway stuff, really, which has not been ideal. But the food contained within it is the same as they would have always had. And that food, like I say, is good. There's under normal circumstances, and again, subject to us opening. I mean, hope these things. We have a pasta bar that does a pasta with some sort of sauce on. Then there's the kind of traditional meals, and that would. That I can remember having at school, to be honest, but far better quality than I had. And then at the side there's pizza, pasta, panini, and then there's also free fruit that's available, and there's also salads, sandwiches, and so on as well. And you can always find something, even someone that is the fussiest person in the world, or if maybe has some allergies that we need to work with as well, then you can always find something that meets your needs. If the children sort of choose to bring sandwiches or pack lunch, that's fine too. Again, if the weather's good, there's plenty of space outside for the students to eat. If it's not so good, then we open up a few classrooms and they can eat in there to make sure that they have a space to have their lunch. And I suppose I'm just trying to think if there's anything that I've missed. I'll just pause there, actually, just as there any. I've done 20 minutes there. So are there any questions that anyone would like to ask? Oh, yeah, Sue's just popped up there, the equipment list on page 24. Yeah, that's useful to look at. That's not on my little list of things here, Sue, so thanks for the prompt. Yeah, I mean, general kind of school equipment, really. The one thing that they do need is a green pen. The green pens uses the improvement pen that I mentioned in the teaching and learning. That's always useful to get. It's useful to have just a decent pencil case to put things in, and glue sticks and so on. We've obviously had to have additional restrictions on things like that, and we asked the children to bring their own glue sticks this year, and I think that's quite useful, actually, anyway. Mr. Holder, was a black trousers or grey like the skirt? Most of the girls in school wear a grey skirt, but the girls are entitled to wear trousers as well. I believe they're a kind of charcoal grey as well, like the boys are, if you want to diversify it like that. But that's where it is. They're perfectly entitled to wear trousers should they want to. As I say, look, if you look in the New Beginners book, I don't think we've got someone in trousers, but the trousers are the same there. And again, the uniform suppliers will be able to point in a direction, but you can buy them from high street stores too, obviously. Lockers, Mrs. Normanton, we've not used the lockers this year, and we're actually looking at that for next year. We've not used them this year for COVID purposes, but actually we did use them the year before, and they were very underutilized, actually. If we were looking at that, there's lots of things that we're looking at the minute. Under normal circumstances, we have allowed Year 7 to have lockers, but the problem we didn't do it this year is that the tutor group is in one area, the tutor room is in one area, and the lockers in the other. As obviously there was a travel, so we had to restrict that this year, and it's still with the ops team at the minute about what lockers will look like for next year. So I'll come back to you on that if you don't mind. Talk you through the first day, of course. Mrs. L, whoever that is, I will talk you through the first day. So their first day, under normal circumstances, they arrive at the front entrance. We meet them, we take them into B Hall. And again, this is all under review at the minute, but normal circumstances into B Hall. quick conversation from me. Read out the names once again of who's in which tutor group. Off they go, and they spend their entire day with the tutor, doing team building things and just generally getting to know each other, having a wander around the site. Just remember, on the first day there's only them in school, so none of the other year groups are in. Year 12 come in for a short time to have a meeting with their tutor, because obviously it's their first day in a way as well into the sixth form. But we take them around, show them where lunch times is, really get them used to how things are. And even on the next day, there's a couple of lessons as well, where they can have a bit more time with their tutor before they go off to their lessons. Because I mean, ultimately what we want to do is get them into lessons as fast as we can and get them learning again, and that's what we do. So it's a nice day. It's hopefully full of stories when they get back home. We asked them, to write a little. It's called All About Me, which is just to give us a flavour for their tutor about who they are, and just give them things that they're interested in and so on. So that's what happens on the first day. Bus passes are done through Metro, so if you contact them, and Metro have all of the details on. It depends where you're coming from, but if you go to, as Susan's popped on there, the My Bus website, details of where they're from, and each child has their own kind of pass, and it has the number of the bus that they should get on and where they can, they obviously get on and alight to as well. They drop off and pick up, not always at exactly the same place, but again, we're on hand at the end of the day. In fact, for the whole week, that's a job at the end of the day, is pointing people to locate their buses. And the bus company, incredibly good, knowing that year 7 take a little bit more time to get themselves out of school and on the bus. But, by the time they've done it for a week or so, they're absolutely fine. They know where they are. In fact, they form a really good relationship with the bus driver, and the bus driver almost recognises who they are and knows who's getting on at which stop and who's getting off at which stop once they've done that for a while. So, yep, go onto the My Bus website and all the details are there. Anybody else? The Northern Rail last year as well had a slightly reduced cost pass. I've not heard of the details from Northern Rail yet on that, but my understanding is that they are looking at something to do, which is almost like a slightly reduced travel pass. Now, the trains have been a bit of an issue, just for the reduction in numbers, but some of our students do get the train and find that more appropriate for their travel to school. So, please do look at that as an option if you're within striking distance of one of the stations to get you in as well. So, that's something that you can look at. Any other questions? I'm here to help. Just pop them in. I mean, just going back to my, my previous points, the sessions really, I accept it's a really, it's a life event. Students are coming, but they're coming to an incredibly good school, a school that's got a huge number of students that are incredibly helpful and incredibly tolerant of each other. And although they're coming in as the smallest, hopefully we'll have the eye leaders there to help them, again subject to restrictions, but irrespective of that, we've got a team of tutors that I've emailed today, and they'll be doing everything they can alongside Mrs. Walsh and Mrs. Varley to make sure the students have a really positive start to Ilkley Grammar School. So just last call for any questions. I suppose if there's nothing, I know there's been many of you that have emailed into the transition mailbox, but that will be open for the whole time. So please that we monitor it over the summer as well. Obviously not every day, but we keep an eye on it over the summer, and we will get back to you if there's any queries there. And obviously Mrs. Pennell will explain the kind of last final details on the 13th of July in the parents' evening. The New Beginnings booklet's on the website. If you go onto the website and then to parents, and it's on new transition and then new parent information, and there's a PDF of the New Beginnings booklet on there if you want to have a look at that. I've had quite a lot of advices that the bus is not a good place for students, and therefore a lot of parents choose the train instead. Do you have any comments or suggestions on this? Never heard that. The buses, we do have the odd issue on the bus and the train, but I've never heard one over the other. The buses, are run by external companies. They're all on CCTV. I don't think we've issued any banning letters this year. And that's only for most students get to school no problem at all. The train isn't monitored, interestingly, as such, as in the same way as the school buses are. And if there are any issues on the bus, it comes straight to me and it gets dealt with by watching the video and dealing with any culprits that cause any issues. And as I said, I'm not sure where that's come from, where that advice has come from, but that's certainly not what I would advise. And school starts, well, currently it starts at 8:30, but they really need to be on site for 8:25, really. Ideally, the buses start arriving around 8:15, actually, but, so there's staff available. I'm on duty from 8:10, but ideally arrive kind of 8:20. The lessons start at 8:30. Well, tutor time starts at 8:30, 10 minutes of that. And then on every day, apart from Wednesday, currently year 7 finish at 10 to 3, but that's only from a COVID situation. Normally they would finish at 3, and hopefully that's the way we will go back to. Apart from on a Wednesday, they finish at 2:30. On a Wednesday, we have staff training, so the students get one of their lessons off as such, and they go home, and we stay at work and carry on our learning. So that's what happens. So the normal circumstances, kind of 8:30 to 3. There are some slight changes to that, and again, Mrs. Pennell will make sure that you're aware if there's any changes, because we've had to stagger the students entering and leaving the building, which is quite a task with nearly 2,000 students with us as well. So we'll finalise that with you, but under normal circumstances, that's what happens. Apart from on a Wednesday, they have what's called an early finish and so on. How many children in a tutor group? Approximately 28. If you do the maths, 319 divided by 11 is approximately 28. Okay. They'll be assisting on what to load once they receive the iPad, all done within tutor group. Okay, I don't know what that bit was, but Stu's obviously answered that. Anything else, anyone? Like I say, I'm here to help. Until what time do after schools run usually? Okay, around kind of 4:30 ish. Again, sometimes if they're on an away activity, they can be later than that. Obviously, if they're traveling to a school on the other side of Leeds to play a fixture or whatever, it can be later than that. But the PE team will release a list of all the activities that they run, with starts and finish times, pickup times, and so on. So again, that will all come out, but it is, it's fairly comprehensive. It depends on the event, depends on the year group that they're in, because sometimes the older ones train a little bit longer. I say we have good relationships with Ilkley Rugby Club, most of the cricket clubs in the area, and Benridin as well. Do they have to register after school time, or will that? Oh, once they start, they register first thing in the morning. And then we use period 5 for our second register. So we don't take, the students don't really know that we take a second register, because we register every lesson, and the student, for safeguarding purposes really. So we register every single lesson online on our systems. But we actually use the period 5 registration as the afternoon mark as such. So that's the way that works. So they really only register with a tutor once in the morning. Okay. That's okay, Mrs. Stacey. I understood what you mean. That's fine. Okay. These are good questions. Very good questions. Sometimes I wish I had these questions in advance sometimes, and I could tailor things a little bit more, but, you know, everyone's so pushed for time. But, you know, please just keep them coming through. We'll do our best. Yeah, Sue, what Sue's put there is really important. You know, we do say to them, try something new. And they are open to everyone that would like to try the activity. And in a lot of the sports and other things, there's, you know, there's an A-B team and a B team and a C team and a development team, and the same thing with for anything else with regards to you know, music and so on. I was actually in leadership team meeting tonight, and the creative arts team with drama and music, and they were singing all sorts of things as we were listening in there tonight. So, you know, again, and there was loads of year sevens there tonight doing that. Like I say, under normal circumstances, we'd have shows and you know, events and all those sorts of things. You know, it would be great. So do they need to register for after schoolers before the term starts? No, Mrs. Stacey, no, they don't need to register for that before they start, because one thing the PE team need to know how we're going to be able to open, because we've only just restarted all the after school clubs, and they don't need to register for the clubs until they start. But all the details of that are given in PE lessons in the first few weeks. I mean, clearly it's in our interest to get them running as fast as we can, but, you know, it doesn't need to be done before the term starts, not at all. Okay. Okay. Listen, as I said, please do email us in any questions, however minor it may seem or major to yourself. We've got the answer. Just the normal circumstances, there is an art club. Yeah, there's a big, massive creative arts team, and yes, there's all sorts of things that go on, photography, art, yeah, plenty of things like that for people that are creatively minded, music, and so on. So yeah, all good. Okay, it always surprises me the amount of clubs that we have, actually. It's quite incredible, obviously the commitment of the staff to run those sorts of things. So all good. Okay, listen, thank you all. Is there a school brass band? I don't think there's a specific brass group, but there is a number of orchestras, a junior orchestra and a senior orchestra, and obviously there's extracurricular, the notability things as well. There's a samba band, the samba band's pretty good. And again, under normal circumstances, all of that. I don't think it's a specific brass band. Maybe someone will correct me, but there's certainly an orchestra, and there's a number of different kind of spin-off groups from that too. So yeah, plenty of opportunities for students to get involved in music. Okay, listen, as I've said many times, I hope this has been helpful to you. I do. They do have choirs, yeah, definitely have choirs too. I do really hope this has been helpful to you all. And as I said, just keep the questions coming in. I'm conscious that this isn't, you know, a normal way of doing things, but actually, you know, I've kind of enjoyed doing these things myself as well. So, and as long as it's useful to you, that is all that matters, I suppose. And listen, just lastly from me, I really am looking forward to meeting you all as adults when we can, and I suppose more importantly, meeting your children when they arrive in September to us as well. You know, they will be a big part of the school. I'll get to know them very well over 5 or 7 years. And, you know, we can hopefully put all of this behind us. I was hoping last year's year 7 would be the last ones to have gone through such a difficult time in transition, but let's hope your children are the last ones that go through it, and the world can correct itself a little bit more and we can get on with living our lives normally. So listen, thanks for your time, and I will speak to you all when I can, and just join us on the 13th of July at 6 o'clock. I'll be sending an email out to you all. I'll send your email out to you all with the instructions of how to join that presentation by the head teacher and the deputies. Okay, thank you all, and we'll see each other soon. Okay, thank you, bye.